Hey folks, JD here, and as I've had a 3D printer now for a couple of weeks, going on to a month, I want to just go through the different types of PLA that I've been printing with and all the different customizations I've made to my Ender 3 over the last few weeks. So I have made a hell of a lot of changes. I've altered my printing style as well a lot, and I wanted to go through a few things. So as you can see here in front of us, we've got 4 spools: green, silvery grey, yellow and multicolor, and I want to give you my thoughts on all these 4. Now the links for these different types of PLA and to my other 3D printing videos can be found in the description. Okay, so let's start off with the green. Now this one I've absolutely hammered, as you can see. All these are 1 kilogram spools, but I've actually used this one quite a lot. It's quite a nice PLA to actually print with. It feels quite thick, but at the same time quite flexible as well. I found feeding it into my extruder wasn't an issue. It printed without there being any issue at all, and it actually gives you quite nice prints. Here's one of the prints that I have done. This is Venom. Now this was a very rough sketch. This was the first print that I had out of here with supports. As you can still see, I've still got some PLA there to sand down, and on his tongue here, just from where the supports were. And this was printed at a layer height of 0.1mm, and it came out pretty well, I think. Now this took about an hour, no it didn't, it took about an hour and a half, 2 hours for it to print, but the results I think are very, very nice. And because I'm now using a glass base, we have got a very nice smooth finish on the back of it as well. Adhesion to a glass base, I actually think is much better than the fabric. I can actually lower my temperature slightly and still have very nice adhesion on there for the prints that I'm printing. Obviously, if you are printing different heights, then that does require different temperature, but I'll go into that a little bit later. So as my first print on green, that's also not too bad. I was also, for another project I've got coming up, I printed a nice little turtle shell here, and it actually printed quite nicely. Again, this is printed at a 0.15mm layer height, which was the default for the Ender 3, and I found that to actually be quite nice. Even though you can still see some of the lines here, and that's what drove me to change to a 0.1mm height. I actually think it came out quite nice. Right then, so that is the first, that's the green. So, and I think it's okay, you know. I think it's okay, it's nice. I will be buying it again. The temperature for the green, just to say, they recommend on here, it doesn't say, I haven't made a note of it, I just wanted to double check. As this is made by CC3, they reckoned this was anywhere between 200 to 210. I print with this at 204 degrees Celsius, and I actually find, as you saw, the prints come out really nice. I've had none that I've had to discard. Next we come on to the silvery grey. Now I wanted this for some of my cyborg projects, which you're all going to find out about a bit later on. But this one is quite generic. I think it was quite a generic make. You can find the link in the description, as I said at the start. Printing temp for this was between 205 degrees and 230. I print this actually at 200 because I find it to actually print out a lot better, and it doesn't actually wear. What I found at the higher temperature with this, what I actually found was that when it was printing, some of the lines weren't as flat. They were actually started to sag slightly. So then I lowered the temperature to 200, and it actually printed really quite nice. Now some of the prints I've done for this, now this is one of them, is the T800 Terminator head. Now as you can see, I've got a nice little line here where I had to swap the spools over in between, so I had to pause the printing and quickly just try and get it in there. So it's not the best, this particular print, so that's what that line is there. But if you look at the overall print, again, layer height of 0.1mm, no problem whatsoever there. Some nice detail in the side. I'm actually printing 6 of these, and I'm going to give them some. I'm going to give them skin, some of them I'm going to paint, some of them I'm not. I've obviously snapped this one as well, which I have to glue back. But as this is my first attempt at a larger model, I'm actually really impressed with how this has come out. It looks fantastic. The detail on it is absolutely brilliant as well, and once I've sanded it down and got rid of all the sharp edges and stuff, it will actually be very, very nice and very professional. Overall, I'm very happy with how that came out. That was the grey, the silvery grey, and I found it to be very good. And this particular spool was only used for this one. So as you can see, this one out of a 1 kilogram spool is actually used quite a bit. So there we are. If you are thinking of printing something a bit larger like that model, then you may want to get a few of these. They're not that expensive, and it's worth having quite a few. Then we come on to the yellow. Everyone pretty much has seen me, seen my prints with this. This is the first spool of yellow that I've had, and I've hammered the hell out of it. So some of the things I've printed with this were my Ender 3 extrusion fan cover, as well as my benchy test, and then as well as the first quadcopter sort of design, and then the actual flying design, which I snapped, as you can see on the back rotor. But there we go. This is Alpha 1. Alpha 1 links are in the description also, should you want to catch up with him. Now this was, again, I think it was between 203 and 220 degrees Celsius. I actually found that if I lowered it to 200 degrees, I got a much nicer print, and the prints came out like this. So it looks quite nice. You've got the detailing, you've got the tiling on the top there. Everything actually works very, very nicely. Now this wasn't with the glass base, this is with the fabric base, and it didn't actually come out that well on the bottom. But adhesion was good at 70 degrees. Right then, so that's the yellow. Now then, let's move on to this one. And this one I had my doubts about, but this has got to be some of the best prints that I have actually printed out. Now this is the multicolored PLA, so you can see here it blows from one colour into the other very, very nicely, very, very easily. So it goes from red to green. There's some blues in there as well, some golds and some yellows. And from this, I think this being the most expensive PLA I bought so far. Well, no, actually the second one. Most expensive one I bought is wood, but I'm not going to talk about that in this one. This is what you can print with it. So this is a nice little vase that I printed for my wife, for Hannah, and as you can see, it starts off green and then goes effortlessly gradients into gold, then into a yellow, then into red, and then into more of a pink at the top here, and it just looks great. Once again, this is a 0.1mm layer height with a bed temperature of 60 degrees and a PLA temperature of 205. And that prints very, very nicely. And I love the glass base, the glass bed. It gives you this really nice, satisfying, smooth bottom there to the print. So there we go. That's one of the prints I printed there with that one. And then likewise with the same PLA, because the colours do take quite a while to run from one to another, you can even print things like this. These are some of my other quadcopters. So there's the green that was printed from this particular PLA. And then likewise the next one I printed came out all rose gold, so I'm very, very happy with that. So both of them printed very nicely. I'm still to tidy up this one. I haven't tidied up that as well. Retraction on that wasn't great, but on this one I'm actually quite happy with it, and it printed very well. So that is the multicolour PLA. Now there is one more spool I want to talk about that I don't have in front of me because it's currently attached to my printer, and that is I've been printing a lot of glow-in-the-dark items. So the reason I've been printing a lot of glow-in-the-dark items is because I wanted to see exactly what they were like. So everybody who's been into games at any point in their life, this has just literally come off the bed, so I haven't done any tidying up of this. This is Pac-Man, and he is a glow-in-the-dark. What I'm going to try and do is turn off my overhead light here and see if we can sort of get him to sort of glow a little bit. So if I can have him in my hand there, you can see he's glowing. It's not the best light, obviously it's the middle of the day, but you can see inside there there's a definite green glow that you don't get on the print unless you cover him up. That has been in front of UV. Now with this particular PLA, they recommend do not put it in direct sunlight on a windowsill for long periods of time. Like if you have it on there for a few weeks, it's actually going to destroy the glow-in-the-dark ability. I've not seen that. I've not even tried that. I'm just going by the manufacturer's recommendations. This is a ghost from Pac-Man, and likewise glows quite nicely there. Look at that. That's actually really quite effective. If I turn that around a bit and get his eyes in shot as well, maybe. And then, there we go. You see a little ghost in there. Quite nice. And then I printed more of an 8-bit Pac-Man ghost there because I do like my 8-bit figures. And once again, he does glow. So I found it very easy to print with a glow-in-the-dark PLA. I read some horror stories. But I just used my initiative and used what I've learned over the past couple of weeks. And what I did with this is I printed it at 210 degrees at a 70 degrees base temperature, and I found that it actually worked well. You can see the results. The results work really, really nice. There's no problem with the base. The actual print itself is nice. I'm liking the layering. Once again, 0.1mm. Infill percentage of this was at 9%, and I found that to be a very, very nice sort of percentage to use. Infill percentage for most of my prints has been at 9%, apart from my little Pokemon. This was Bulbasaur was at infill of 10. 10%, so 1% greater. And once again, this is using the colour change PLA that we looked at a little while ago. And yeah, I'm very, very happy with how he's come out. And once again, that great base, nice, very satisfying base there from the glass. But that's him. Love Pokemon, love little Bulbasaur, very sweet. So yeah, there we go. So that's just the glow in the dark PLA as well. So I'm going to put them at the back slightly, see if they can glow a little bit for us. So you've got, you know, a load of different prints that I've been through the past couple of weeks, and I've done even more as well. These are just the ones I had to hand. I've got ones downstairs on the wall. I've got, you know, a load of other ones that I've got laying about here, and I've got ones that I haven't even told you anything about because they're kind of secret projects. But there's, you know, just some of the examples that I've got from all this different PLA. I recommend any one of these. I think they're great. I honestly think they're good. The issues I've had with printing from one or two of the PLAs have been because of me, and not because of the PLA itself, because I actually calibrated the printer incorrectly, or because I set it at the wrong temperature. I would say play around with it a little bit. I've got a nice little, almost like half the size of this benchy test that I got from Thingiverse. In fact, it's this. It's a little octopus that I got from Thingiverse, and I use this to test out my PLA at different temperatures. Only takes about 20 minutes to print, that does, and I find it's a very good way to see all the different ways of how you can print. Oh, before I drop it, all the different ways of how your PLA is going to print at the different temperatures. And yeah, he's very sweet. There we go. All right, friends, I hope you've enjoyed this. If you've got different PLA, let me know in the comments and what your preferred infill percentages, layer heights, and your favourite PLA to use. Alright, my friends, thanks ever so much for watching and listening. I've been JD, you've been fantastic as always. If you haven't already, please like and subscribe and ring that bell too. Hello and welcome to all the new subscribers. I hope you're enjoying the channel. So until next time, my friends, happy printing.